we're gonna call the, what are we, July, we're in July somewhere. The July 28th, 2022 meeting of the Bloomington Historic Preservation Commission to order. Dee, would you call the roll, please?
Marlene Newman. Doug Bruce. Daniel Schlegel.
Here.
Sam DeSaller.
Here.
I didn't hear Sam.
Oh, I'm here. It's gonna be a problem.
Matthew Seddon.
Here.
John Saunders. Elizabeth Mitchell.
Here.
Allison Chopra. Bernard Cross.
Here.
Duncan Campbell. Eric Ritchie. Ernesto Castaneda.
Here.
Chris Thurbaum.
Here.
Do we have a motion about the minutes? Have you had a chance to review them?
I move we approve the minutes
I second.
The only caveat I want to put in there is I was at that meeting.
with the addition that Sam was at the meeting.
Thank you. Dee?
Okay. Daniel Schlegel.
Yes.
Sam DeSaller.
Yes?
Matthew Seddon.
Yes?
Elizabeth Mitchell.
Yes.
Bernard Cross.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. You want to get into staff recommendations?
We have no staff recommendations on this lovely day.
All right, then what do we got next on our agenda here? Bear with me, I'm filling in for John, who cannot be with us today. Okay, we got them.
Is there minutes?
Oh yeah, I'm flipping through. Here we go. So we're up to COA 22-54.
So COA 22-54, which we saw during our last meeting for 642 North Madison Street. They are requesting BUEA funds to repair the light fixtures attached, light fixture attachments, as well as the roof. The HBC requested additional information during the last meeting, and give me 1 second. Marlene Newman has arrived. So staff, the petitioner did send in the additional information requested, which was, let me scroll down, excuse me, to explain better how the light fixtures would be anchored. So what they explained was that they are going to be utilizing the existing anchor holes, but set in stainless all-thread bolts into the holes using epoxy. They will make no new holes in the brick to anchor the lights. They will then use the stainless nuts to fasten the existing lights to the newly anchored threaded bolts. If they encounter a damaged brick, they will replace the brick, but reusing the existing holes in the most practical way to anchor the lights that are attached, primarily using holes already drilled in the brick. Give me 1 second, let me scroll up. So staff recommends approval of COA 22-54 with a recommendation in favor of the BUEA facade grant. And that's where we are.
Chris, are you here representing the petitioner, or are you just yourself today?
I must be I don't know. I'll answer any questions because I wrote this estimate and I'll be subcontracting with the installer.
Gotcha.
Gretchen, the petitioner, is here.
Does the petitioner have anything to add?
No.
No, sorry, I wasn't able to unmute myself or start my video until just now.
All right, well, Gloria read through Chris's description of the work. Did you have anything to add?
I do not. Chris knows better than I do how this would work.
All right, questions from the commissioners. Marlene, you have any questions?
No, no questions.
Daniel? Mr. Seddon?
No.
Elizabeth?
No.
Mr. Cross?
No question.
Ernesto?
No question, thanks.
And I assume you don't have any questions, Chris?
No,
All right, any comments? Marlene?
No comments.
Daniel?
No.
Matthew?
Appreciate the extra info.
Elizabeth? Renard?
No.
Ernesto?
No comments, thanks.
All right, do we have a motion?
Move to approve, I'm looking at the number, 22-54.
Second.
Dee, would you call the,
Okay. Marlene Newman,
Yes.
Daniel Swago,
Yes.
I can get anything from the public?
Sam Massaler,
Yes.
Matthew Seddon,
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell,
Yes.
Bernard Cross.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Do we need a separate motion for the grant?
I don't believe, I think it's,
Is incorporated?
because we wouldn't even be seeing this if
Okay.
it wasn't for that, unless Daniel Dixon has something different to offer.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Daniel, did you hear that?
I heard bits and pieces of it, I'm sorry.
We were just wondering if that sufficiently incorporated the grant into the motion as well, given that it was sort of tendered
Yeah,
in
that
the,
was the staff recommendation.
Yep.
I think, I mean, if you want to really formalize it, you can make a second motion too, but I think that was included in the staff recommendation, so I think the vote includes that.
Dandy, thank you. I think we can move on to COA 22-59, if my eyes are working.
Excellent. COA 22-59 for 521 West 4th Street. The petitioners are requesting solar panels in their house on the Greater Prospect Hill Historic District. Neighborhood comments. Patrick Murray wrote, I have reviewed the proposal for solar panels at 521 West 4th Street. I believe this is a good project, not only environmentally, but the placement of the panels is on the roof surfaces that are generally not visible from the street. In addition, there are several other houses in the historic district and immediate neighborhood that have been approved for solar panels. I am recommending approval, and Jeff Golden and Richard Lewis also recommended.
All right.
And here's the information. Staff recommends approval for COA 22-59. The Greater Prospect Hill Historic District guidelines do not address sustainability initiatives such as solar panels. However, the proposed panel does comply with the policies regarding public way facade, with only a minimal portion visible from Jackson Street due to their location on the back of the accessory structure. The Neighborhood Construction Subcommittee supports the project. And here is the plan, the roof plan with the location of the solar panels.
And the street is to the north, yes, up top of the page.
Yes. Yes, they would barely be visible. Sorry.
Is this diagram representative? Are they putting this many solar panels up, or are they just putting solar panels up?
What was the question?
No, I'm just asking if they're actually putting that many solar panels on the roof.
Seems like it. Here's some additional images.
Whoever is on there, could you mute your mic?
yeah, it's not doing anything, neither of those.
Chris?
Chris, could you mute?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm in a meeting.
Chris, could you mute, please?
Oh, somebody else. Okay. Okay, and that's all I have for this case.
All right,
Sorry about that.
Is the petitioner here?
Yes,
Or do you have anything to add?
No, we're very excited about doing it.
Sounds good. All right, questions, commissioners, Marlene,
No questions, looks like a good project to me.
Daniel,
No, I can't think of anything.
Matthew,
Nope.
Elizabeth,
No.
Bernard,
No questions.
Ernesto,
No questions.
Chris?
No,
I only have a couple of very quick questions. One is how thick are the panels and how far off the roof are they mounted?
They're like the other panels in the neighborhood, they're right against the roof, they're, 4 inches probably. The
Gotcha.
bracket.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any comments from the public? All right, do we have a motion?
I move to approve COA 22.
And I,
59. Sorry.
Marlene Newman,
It was all-
yes,
Daniel Schlegel,
Yes.
Sam DeSaller,
Yes.
Matthew Seddon,
Yes.
We didn't do commentary, did we?
Elizabeth Mitchell,
yes.
I think somebody had.
Bernard Cross.
Yes. Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to COA 22-60.
COA 22-60 for 405 North Rogers Street. CFC Properties is requesting sidewalk replacements. So staff, before I go on, okay, so this is the Cochran Helton Lindley House Historic District. Staff recommends that the petitioner resubmit a proposal that combines new concrete and historic material for COA 22-60. Staff recognizes that the stone suffers from severe spalling, which is consistent with the deterioration of limestone in their current placement, and recommends consulting with the city's Public Works Department, which I believe they're already doing, as they have worked with similar historic sidewalks throughout the city in order to find an alternative that works for the owners, provides accessibility, and retains some of the historic materials. So they are proposing that they recognize that the sidewalk along 8th Street is a designated designed limestone pattern that is degraded, uneven, and broken. The sidewalk was a WPA project in the 30s. CFC would like to replace the sidewalk with concrete that is stamped to match the same pattern as the limestone. This will provide a safe sidewalk that replicates the original limestone sidewalk. The existing limestone will be removed and the stamped concrete poured. We did the same process years ago for another WPA sidewalk located at 417 West 6th Street. The Rogers Street sidewalk was refinished years ago using the original limestone and recut limestone so that part of the original sidewalk is still intact. So they want to use sidewalk grade concrete and stamp designed to match existing limestone pattern. Number 53, stone-based reinforced concrete with 30-inch grid, a 4-inch rebar, 4,000 PSI poured, at least 4 inches thick. Concrete will be stamped with the matching existing WPA sidewalk. This is the same as was done at 13th and Fest by the same contractor. Here is a diagram of the 8th Street sidewalk that the petitioner is proposing to replace. And staff does recognize that the sidewalk is in a highly deteriorated condition. There are some photos here as well. Sorry for the, here we go. Went around quite a bit for that. Here's some additional photos. So this is the Rogers Street sidewalk, which would be left intact for this project. And some examples of damage.
I don't see where this is damaged.
And repairs. Well, the Rogers Street is less damaged. The 8th Street sidewalk is in a more deteriorated.
Like, hold on that image, that one that you were just on, and I look up at the screen there. So I think they're referring to
This,
that guy.
yeah, this is the side they're referring
Okay.
to, which is more deteriorated.
Bless you.
Just scrolling through.
Photos.
Okay.
So is do you have anything else in the presentation?
That's it.
All right, there's a petitioner here.
Yes.
Do you have anything, Dad?
Yeah. So what we want to do and why we want to do it, the original sidewalk, which adjoins this sidewalk, so Rogers Street's on the front side, and that one we have continued to maintain and keep up with the original WPA limestone as much as we possibly can, but it just continues to deteriorate, especially with use of chemicals on the streets and sidewalks. But we keep that one intact, and we plan to do so because that's the front of the property, it's the keystone area. So we want to keep that as the WPA sidewalk, and we'll do so in the foreseeable future. Whereas the 8th Street one, because there is a church and there's school access and there's a lot of pedestrian traffic there, what we would like to do is have that stamped concrete matching the WPA sidewalk. This is the same as what was done on Fest Street. And we already have the stamp approved previously, as does this contractor in another project. We'd like to do the concrete stamp because it's more durable, and with the continued deterioration and upkeep that we're already doing on the front sidewalk, we can't ever match that limestone again. And this particular sidewalk is so deteriorated that when we had a contractor come in, he didn't feel like there was a lot that could be saved. So if we go with redoing it in original limestone, everything's basically gonna be remilled anyways. So it's not gonna have much of the original stone in it. So one way or another, we're gonna have to replicate, and we prefer to do it through concrete, not to save money, but in order to have durability and longevity.
Do we have any questions from commissioners? Marlene?
So I have one really sort of, one question. So I think that the concrete is, pretty compelling as a replacement, at least in the way it looks. But so when you remove the sidewalk, are you planning on saving any of the salvageable pieces to maybe repair the existing the sidewalk on the front?
Yeah, that's an absolutely great question, and yes, that's been in our plan that whatever we remove out of there, we want to store that stone if it's usable in the future to keep that Rogers Street. Right now, when something gets damaged, and there was a picture in there, we're having to pour concrete in there because there's not really any other way to fix it, and there's no stone available. So this will be a great surplus of stone for us to keep on hand for future WPA sidewalks, whether it be ours on Rogers Street or any others in the city.
Thank you.
Yes, good question, and thank you for asking that.
Daniel, do you have any questions?
I had two, but Marlene already asked one. And I just wanted to check, so from the pictures, I've been trying to zoom in and tell. This sidewalk's pretty uneven, is that right?
The 8th Street is extremely uneven and broken. It's an extreme hazard, and we are so worried about somebody getting hurt from it. So time is of the essence. We want to get this done definitely before winter because it's nearly impossible to shovel the snow at this point. Did you have another question?
No, Marlene, that one was Marlene's question,
Okay.
so she beat me to it.
And as a CFC project, just as a little extra input, this is the project that really started CFC and its downtown renovation. It was the very first renovation done by Cook. And so we take pride in it. We're going to do it to the absolute best. we definitely respect historical preservation and want to do that in as much as what we possibly can. It's just that this particular sidewalk is just so far on that we really don't feel like there's enough of it that we're gonna be able to use for doing it in a limestone aspect without just milling new limestone.
Wait.
Oh,
We'll get there. Commissioner Seddon, do you have a
No
question?
questions.
Commissioner Mitchell?
No, I don't have any questions.
All right, what you got, Bernard?
I'm looking at the last bullet on page 37. The recommends consulting with the City of Bloomington Public Works Department. Is this recommendation based on replacing it with the concrete? What is the essence? What is the aim of this consultation that is recommended here?
So, yeah, that's a very good question. So, many other people, the WPA stone tiles are failing in many places. That's happening. The city also has a stockpile, and they have been working with residents, and the HPC has approved some, has not approved others, but it is one avenue that you could consult, because what the city has been doing, at least Public Works, is that they do have a stockpile of the older original stone, and if necessary, sometimes what they'll do is save just one patch of one area, and then everything is poured concrete. These are two different strategies, and the HPC in the end will decide, what works, what could work, which approach to use in each case. But they have had other approaches where they will keep a patch of the original, a smaller patch, not the whole thing, and then the rest is poured concrete. But instead of using this sort of fake replicated stone, actually using real stone. So it was just an idea, a recommendation from staff to talk to them about, instead of making everything look original but be in concrete, actually keep a little bit of original but a much smaller part, and then everything else just in plain concrete. But again, it can vary, and in this case, there have been precedents for the pure concrete ones, so I will leave it at that. Does that answer your question at all?
Yeah, but it leads to at least one other question, in that your recommendation is for them to consult with the hope that together they will come up with a solution that works for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you recommend. And I don't know if this next question is kind of premature, but what are options here? Do we turn this down until after? Do we suspend it? And that would probably be the subject of a motion.
It's subject of a motion. My recommendations are simply recommendations, and you take them or leave them, or partially take them, or fully take them, or leave them completely. It's all up to you. They are merely recommendations.
All right. Did that cover you for the moment?
Yes, sir.
All right. Ernesto, do you have any questions?
Can they speak a little bit more about the way they're proposing to reinstall this, to take out the old and replace with the new? Can you speak a little bit more about that process?
Sure, we've spoken with Mike Lindsay. He's the one that has done some other WPA sidewalks here in Bloomington. And we've spoken to him about, as he's removing this stone, to save what he can, and we will either stockpile it, we can give it to the city. I think that would be a good part for us to consult, as staff is recommending, and make sure that stone is saved. We have also spoken with a mason, and he felt like much of the stone was too fragile to really be reused, so we'll have to evaluate that as it comes out. But the idea would be to take out first the stone that we think can be saved or that is intact, And then after that, we will take out the majority, the rest of the stone, and then prepare it for the concrete and do the stamping at the end. All the while, we'll have that all barricaded off and redirect the pedestrian traffic to the other side of the street. Our hope is that we'll have it finished, and what has been stated by Mike Lindsay, he can have it finished from start to finish in 10 days, 10 business days.
Thank you.
Chris, do you have any questions?
Yeah, did you ask if I had a question?
I did.
I'm having trouble hearing. I don't know if the broadcast is low or I'm having trouble with my own computer, but let me ask to clarify for myself. I understand they're gonna stamp the 8th Street sidewalk, pour it and then stamp it, and then they're gonna repair the front sidewalk, and they're gonna save the best stones from the 8th Street side. Do I understand what they're doing right?
The front side sidewalk is already completed, but it does continually need maintenance. So what we would like to do is reuse that stone that we take from the 8th Street side to continue to upkeep the one side that is on Rogers Street. We've already done that one years ago and continue to maintain it in the WPA limestone. Does that answer your question?
I couldn't quite hear your answer, but
Come
are
on
you
closer.
going to repair
Okay.
the front sidewalk?
The front sidewalk on Rogers Street has already been repaired and remastered, and we continue to keep it maintained. So what we would like to do is take the stone from the 8th Street side, and as we need to repair the original WPA sidewalk that's already been restored, so to speak, we'll continue to use that stone that we can recover from the 8th Street side.
Right. Yeah, thank you. That makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, comments? Marlene, do you have any comments?
Yeah, well, Cook has always been a really strong supporter of preservation projects, and I think this looks like a good project to me, and I think they will do it with their usual care and aplomb.
Oh wait, I forgot to ask some questions. Who was it that approved the stamp? Was that the Public Works, or was that an HPC approval?
Mike Lindsay provided me the examples. It was done on 13th and Fest.
Okay.
So I don't know what date that was done, but he said that it had been previously approved and it's been used in multiple WPA sidewalks. There's a couple of different patterns. So we did one, and that one did get approved over at 417 East 6th Street, West 6th Street, which was the John R. East House. So we did that one. It's a different stamp.
Or I guess what I'm trying to ask, was it the Historic Preservation Commission that approved that sidewalk stamp, or was it the Public Utilities?
I don't have that answer.
Right.
I don't know who's previously approved it. I know that it's been used in previous HPC projects.
Thank you.
417th East what? So I could check here.
421 West 6th Street.
Ah, sorry.
Yeah. 421 West 6th Street, 417, 421. So that's the John R. East House.
Right, sorry.
And that was a CFC project that we did and got that approved through here.
Thank you. Daniel, did you have any comments?
No, I don't have anything.
All right. Matthew?
Well, it's tough to nibble away at these cute little WPA sidewalks. It's sort of like cumulative effect rather than, but the way our code is approaching it, like it's sort of one property at a time. But having said that, I mean, I think you guys are knocking yourself out to keep a good stretch of it, and I think it's a good compromise, so I'd approve it.
Okay. I might jump in because I'll forget to comment otherwise. I'm a little, I mean, I have a great deal of gratitude to Cook and how supportive they've been of preservation within the Bloomington community. And I'm grateful that they're keeping the main sidewalk, the WPA sidewalk, in repair. That said, I'm a little leery of the stamped concrete replacement, only because it sort of smacks to me of like, and it may have been approved by us in the past, but you know, it smacks to me of like wood stamped vinyl siding. It's representing a material it's not. And part of me would just rather see a plain sidewalk with, you know, maybe even a short little stretch at the very beginning and the very end of the, you know, with just a short stretch. So that says this started here, this ends here, and then the middle of it was concrete. But, you know, the whole stamping of concrete to replicate stone feels very postmodern to me. So that just gives me a little bit of the heebie-jeebies. But that's all I got. Elizabeth, do you have comments?
No, I'm glad that they are doing something, that since I'm attend Second Baptist Church, and I know getting out of the car for all those old people. I don't want anybody falling down.
Yeah, we
because
really
the members
would like
are
to-
old now.
We would really like to get this done sooner than later.
Yeah.
because We are very worried about it.
Yeah. So I'm glad you're doing something, and I know that Cook has always been one to respect taking care of things and preserving things, so I'm okay with it. Because I'm one of those old people trying to get out of the car on the sidewalk.
Bernard, do you have comments?
Yeah, I would like for the petitioner to consult with the city to see how they can contribute, assist in trying to maintain as much of the character of the old sidewalk in the renovation that's proposed. I probably would not move to delay it in favor of any consultation, but I'd like, you know, an undertaking that they consult with the city and work together to get this thing to be as close to what was there before, if the city can help with maybe additional limestone or expertise or, you know, any kind of assistance as recommended by Gloria and her department.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Yeah.
Ernesto, do you have comments?
I do. Just, it's a kind of a mix of comments here from what I've heard. For once, it's important to notice that yes, we're close to a church, but also we're close to a elementary school. So we have kids coming up and down the streets, and it's good to have good, safe sidewalks. The other is that I do agree with the staff recommendation about maybe finding a common ground of how to repair these sidewalks, because the stamping method, I don't think is probably the right one for this application. So maybe, you know, a collaboration between the city and you know, we might be able to find a solution. So that would be my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris, do you have comments?
Yes, I do. You know, I've been watching the city wrestle with these sidewalks since the time that they designated them, that we designated them. And they've tried rebuilding them with new masonry and new stone. That stuff fell apart in 5 years. And Cook has stamped a building in front of the East House that is held up, as I understand it. They didn't follow that pattern, but it's expensive to make a custom pattern. So it might be interesting to have another alternative to the short section of stone. I think restoring that whole walk is impractical. It's just too much. But the saving of the walk in front is really important and significant, and that's where it'll be experienced from people who come to the building. So I'd be interested in seeing the stamp happen, whether it's something that gets repeated or not, it would be just one more effort, because it says this used to be here and come around the corner. And, there's a good argument for saying just pave it without the stamp. But I think it's worth seeing what Cook can do with this stamp and see if it's just one more tool in the tool bag when we go to replacing these old sidewalks. That's just from my point of view. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from the public?
I'll just add, can I add one thing?
Sure.
One is, I hear your point, I actually thought of the same thing too, is just replace it with a regular sidewalk. Listening to Chris, I can hear that argument too. The archaeologist in me says stamp a date somewhere into it, actually. I mean, I'm not totally kidding. Then, as people come through the future, you could see sort of the evolution of the space. I don't know if they do stamp a date. That'd be kind of cool.
They could even put, a historical type marker in there of,
Replicating WPA.
sidewalk.
Yeah.
We can definitely work with the city or whomever would need to construct that, but that's probably not a bad idea to put a little, not placard, but add that stamp in there to say,
Here's
this is
how
the
the-
WPA replacement replicate sidewalk or whatever,
Yeah.
with the date of original installation in the 30s and 2022. Yeah. I think
But,
that would be a great idea.
Other than, those are just ideas if you like them, because I'm happy as it is. But
Any other discussion on this? Do I hear a motion? Anybody have a motion? Any have more discussion?
I'll make a motion to accept COA 22-60.
second,
Roll call the roll, please.
Marlene Newman,
Yes.
Daniel Schlegel,
Yes.
Sam DeSaller,
Yes.
Matthew Sutton,
yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell,
Yes.
Bernard Cross.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks a
Thank you,
lot.
everybody.
And if you can put a date in it, we'd really appreciate it, but you're not required.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. We appreciate you
And
on the
then
agenda.
suggested by Matt said.
And letters about 3 feet high
My hand, Chris. Okay.
with a star.
A star.
Thank you, everybody.
Well, you were serious about the star. I'm joking.
You got a little star sidewalk there.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, we're up to COA 22-61.
COA 22-61 for 208 East 16th Street, brought by Lisa Friedman, at Garden Hills Historic District. This is version, Lisa could comment, version, we've already seen this project a few times.
At least twice.
It is being modified again in order to conform to the UDO as much as possible. So this version is a little bit different from what was approved earlier. So I'm just showing you, as staff recommends approval of COA 22-61. Let me see if I can find my comments. So, sorry, this is a little slower than the normal presentation, but this version of the application has changes from the approved COA 22-19 based on requirements from the Planning and Transportation Department. The project has gone through multiple iterations, and the addition constitutes an extensive new construction facing the main right-of-way. The placement of the house in the lot and the multiple alterations to it have made placing an addition challenging. The proposed addition is visible from the right-of-way. However, the design follows the patterning, not patterning, but the patterning, porch placement, and scaling recommendations within the guidelines. The Neighborhood Association commented, the Garden Hills Neighborhood Association supports the petitioner's revised plans. However, it should be noted that this is with reservation. We feel that planning is being much too hard on small developers. This project should have been referred for a variance. I honestly, these are just the comments from the Neighborhood Association. I don't have the history of what went through. But the house looks much better with the dormer, and the dormer is not going to hurt anyone. This was arbitrary, says the neighborhood. And here are photos, images of the house as it is now. I believe some of us did do a site visit there months ago. Here is the plan. So the current location and the addition. The site plan. Sorry. Okay, so here's a floor plan with the interior, although we can find some of the elevations for you. The front and the side elevation. So west and north. North is street facing, west is, I believe, yeah, faces an alley. And then the rest are the specifications for the materials, for the siding. I'm going to, sorry, see if I can, oh, sorry. Oh, that went a lot. I'm getting used to the slightly different system of sharing materials. So yes, everything else on the siding. Could be vinyl siding. And the midnight black Malarkey asphalt dimensional shingle. The vinyl windows. Yep, and that's, I'm just gonna go to the first page. So yeah, that's where we are at.
All right, the petitioner is here?
I am here.
Ah, there. Do you have anything to add?
The changes brought about, again, as Lloyd mentioned, we went to planning, so the half story that we're adding, we had to modify the setback. So it was 12 foot, so now it is 15 feet. So we made that modification, the half story, and then kind of revised a little bit the front porch and the entryway.
All right. Commissioners, any questions? Marlene?
No questions.
Daniel?
No questions.
Matthew?
No question.
Elizabeth?
None, no question.
Renard?
Done.
Ernesto?
No questions.
Chris?
No question.
Me? I have one question. Would you be interested in applying for a variance to go with the original design, or are you just wanting to move ahead?
And Noah, are you on the call as well?
Give me 1 second. Noah, if you are on the call, can you please raise your hand so that I can?
Yes, I would be interested in a variance, but maybe Noah can answer that because I know he's been communicating with planning. I'm not sure if that has already been requested.
Okay. I made him a co-host so that he can unmute himself.
Okay, Noah's been kicked off the call.
He's still showing up. I suppose while we're waiting.
Okay, I had Noah on the line. He did say that he did ask for a variance from planning, but they said that they would deny it.
Well, you're here from planning. You want to introduce yourself and talk us through that?
Do you have to turn these on? Are these actually on at all? No, we just talked about the. Okay, whatever. I'll just speak loudly. My name is Gabriel Holbrow. I'm zoning and long-range planner for the planning department. I have not been speaking with the applicant directly. My understanding is that there's the opportunity to apply for variance that in the petitioner don't want to apply. It has not gone forward so far with applying for a variance. It is as far as I understood, we did not get to the point of the planning staff making a recommendation on supporting or not the variance, but it's possible that we had said that staff would be unlikely to support the variance.
Let me ask you this, if the HBC supported the variance, would that change staff's stance on this at all?
If it's simply that the HBC supports it, no. If the HBC supports it with reasons that speak to the criteria for variances, then yes.
Gotcha. Thank you. Okay, where are we up to? Comments? Did I miss people?
When you said it is possible that staff may have indicated that they would deny the variance if it was applied for, were you speculating or were you speaking from knowledge of this specific situation?
I'm speculating, and I want to clarify that our role as staff is to make a recommendation to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and then they decide. So staff, all the time, staff makes recommendations for denial, and then the board approves variances. So that can certainly happen.
But you don't know, you weren't speaking, you're speaking generally and not specific to this.
Yes, that is true. I have not talked to the applicant, so I was not part of that discussion. What I can say is my understanding was that we did not get to the point of staff determining what a recommendation would be. However, that could be wrong, so I want to make that caveat.
All right, since we're still, I guess, on Renard, we might go to you for comments. No comments? Ernesto, do you have comments?
Can anybody hear me right now?
Oh, that's Noah.
Yeah, I heard you.
Okay, this is Noah Rogers. Chris Sturbaum, do you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, sorry, I had some technical difficulties. It kicked me off. For some reason, I pushed the button. But, okay, so if you guys mind if I talk for just a couple quick minutes, I won't take too much time.
No, please do. And while you're talking, if you would address the variance question, that would be lovely.
Yes, that's what I was wanting to address, sir. So I had spoken with the city planning changes how much. What is her name? Lisa, that we have been speaking with.
Karina.
What was it?
Karina,
correct. We have been speaking with her about the variance, trying to get a variance because the lot is only 50 foot wide and she has to have 15-foot setbacks for the second floor. So if we were to do 15-foot setbacks on each side of the lot, you know, she doesn't really have anything at all to build on. I was really surprised that they said they would deny the variance. But if we were to put an apartment building there, I guarantee you they would have gave us the variance. So she, Mrs. Freeman, obviously the owner of the home, she really liked the first design much better. It flowed better inside. It gave her the kitchenette inside that she wanted for the upstairs. It just really looked so much nicer from the outside. It went well with the neighborhood. What are the chances with your guys' help of being able to get that variance?
To be honest, we don't know. That's not our purview. We can go to bat for you, but as to what the staff at planning recommend and further what the BZA does with that, That's, the ball's in their court then, but, we'll,
Okay.
we'll,
And then it would be another month or two before we could even make a decision, right?
yes, sir.
Yeah, and we can't wait that long. She's already been waiting, you know, and not your guys' fault by no means. Please don't take it that way.
No, I have been through this process myself, so I feel your pain.
Yeah. And we've already had Kevin Potter do the structural designs for the current plan, so we don't really want to pay for all that again anyway.
Okay. Do you have anything?
Any questions for me?
Why don't you stay on the call if you would, and I'll go around to the commissioners and see if you have any questions, and we'll go right to comments then.
Okay,
All right.
sounds great.
Thank you.
Great.
Renard, do you have comments? Ernesto, you have any comments?
Yes, I do. I guess the only comment, just to follow up on that variance real quick. Can we just make, or can the Historic Preservation Commission make a recommendation in support in case the petitioner wants to follow up or not with a recommendation that it would be okay to do such dormer?
I think we could do that. It sounds like, if you would, if the petitioner would speak to this, it sounds like your schedule is tighter, so it may be a moot point.
I would like, yeah, I would appreciate that recommendation. You know, if I, do choose to go that path, it would be nice to have that backing. Otherwise, it'll give me options. I really love the first design.
Exactly.
But again, I just need to kind of weigh everything in timing. But that would be wonderful if I could get the HBC backing for that.
I think if you have the option to do it or not, that's up to you, right? At least you have that on hand to present to the planning department.
Okay.
And I don't know, that's just a suggestion. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ernesto. Chris, do you have comments?
It's time to approve this thing, it's my comment.
Thank you. Marlene, do you have comments?
Well, I missed the first iterations because I was on the board, but I think the present one is a big improvement over the existing house, which, anyways, as far as the plan commission goes, the planning board, the planning department, I'll support whatever my colleagues decide to support or write into this, but it seems as if, paying again for structural work, et cetera, may be prohibitive.
Yeah, she has had to pay for 3 iterations of redesigns. And I actually paid for one of the redesigns because I felt bad for her.
Let's see, Daniel, do you have comments?
No comments.
Mr. Seddon?
No, I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way to approve this and the previous one and everything.
If you let me make a motion, I might be able to help with that. Elizabeth, do you have comments?
No, I do not.
I think we already got you. Did we get you, Bernard?
No, nothing more.
Okay. I might make a motion if that's all right with you all.
Hey, Sam.
Yes, sir. Oh.
Real quick, this is Daniel Dixon from Legal. There was, I think it was Matt's comment about if we could approve this as well as the other one. If I'm understanding this right, and Gloria, if you can correct me on this, that the prior one that they wanted to use, that's already been approved and that's valid for 2 years.
Yes. But what I'm going to do though is in the motion, I'm not going to address that. I'm going to address the variance.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
But,
yeah.
so that's a good question. If we approve this, does that cancel out the COA that we approved 2 years ago?
I don't even think it was 2 years ago. I think it was just
last year.
5 or 6 months ago.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You might just, one suggestion is if there's an inclination to do it that way is to make this one contingent on the other one not getting the variance.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. What's COA is this?
61.
61,
2261.
2261. All right, I would move to approve COA 22-61 with the caveat that the HPC supports a variance to for the last iteration, which has been previously approved by the HPC, and that's contingent on the variance being denied.
Which was 22-19.
And that's COA 22-19. Daniel, does that pass muster?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay. Is everybody?
I second.
If I'm understanding this correctly, can we go to city planning with the first approval from you guys and say, is it possible for us to go ahead and do the first reiteration of this?
You can apply for, you certainly can apply for variance, and what we're about to vote on is whether or not the HPC will support that variance to do the first version. So if you get the first version approved, you get a variance for that, you can build the first version if the zone of BZA approves that. And if not, you've got version 2.
You don't have to come back to us.
The size has had to extend dramatically. We had to add on a lot to get everything we wanted by doing so. Okay, that's good, that's good.
All right, Dean, would you call the roll?
Marlene Newman,
So I have a problem because I never saw the first one and I didn't really, have anything to.
You could abstain?
Well, I could abstain. I mean, I support the project, which is, kind of a crazy position to be in. I don't really know whether I am legally allowed to vote on the motion the way it has been written.
Marlene, this is Daniel, you can vote on it.
Okay, yes then.
Daniel Schlegel,
Yes.
Sam DeSaller,
Yes.
Matthew Seddon,
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell,
Yes.
Bernard Cross.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate it.
All right. All right, we are moving on to COA. Where are we? We have a lot of vinyl siding to go through. Hang on. Here we go. COA 22-62.
COA 22-62 at 336 South Maple Street. The petitioners Brooke and Corey Ryman are proposing to change the windows and partially closing one window. So they propose to change all of the windows, and they propose to partially close one of them. The neighbors comment yes to the windows. Per our guidelines, they are welcome to use vinyl windows. Yes, they can change the upper windows to casement for egress. Yes, if they want to change the fenestration to a non-street facing siding of their home south. I am happy that someone is cleaning up that place and getting it back to good condition. Staff recommends approval of COA 22-62. Just making sure that the historic window proportions, so the fenestration openings are maintained with the exception of the window on the north facade that will be partially closed in order to put the building, I don't know if it's north or south. South. Okay, amended to south facade to put the building into code compliance. The fenestrations would be maintained the same size. Petitioner did comment, and she will comment on this a little bit more, that the building department asked her that the 2 front windows be combined into one on the front facade for egress purposes. So staff also comments the main focus of preservation in the Greater Prospect Hill Historic District is the facade facing the right-of-way. The petitioners do need to update the house to put it into compliance with code, and the Neighborhood Construction Subcommittee fully endorses this project. And so building location. Sorry, I don't want to dizzy everybody with the scrolling. So yeah, so the petitioner commented on putting everything back to code, and I wanted to show you, so this is the facade where one of the windows would be partially closed because there would be, I believe, a staircase on the interior. So, and this is how it would look afterwards. And
May I ask one quick question?
Would you hold on to your question until Gloria's finished with the presentation,
sorry.
sir? Thank
It
you.
was in regards to the previous COA. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to ask. That's okay. I guess I can try to reach out to her.
I'm sorry, is it, are you a member of the public or the neighborhood?
public, it's Noah from the previous
Oh,
project.
it's Noah.
Yeah.
Email me later. Okay.
Yeah, I'll call you tomorrow.
Sounds good. Okay, and with this, I will leave it to the commissioners.
All right, the petitioner is present. You have anything to add?
Yeah, so.
If you want to come sit, feel free.
So, just to explain a little bit about, so when we purchased this, it had been basically like a hoarder situation. They hadn't done anything to the exterior. So this is actually, that actually looks like it was taken after we had taken ownership, but I'm not sure. It was so overgrown, you couldn't even see the house. And a lot of people walk by and say, I didn't realize there was a house under all that. So like that front tree and things, some of that landscaping that was encroaching on the house, we've cleaned up. But, so now we're tackling the windows. Most of the windows don't open. A couple of them are operational, but a lot of I can't think of the frames are rotted and things. So we need to redo all the windows. And I apologize to change a little bit about it after talking to the building department today. I have more questions. So we had planned on doing replacement windows, taking these out, putting replacement windows. And I hadn't really, I guess, grasped that when you do a replacement window, it's slightly smaller because of the replacement is within the original window frame. So I wanted to ask that question. I know we're supposed to replace what's there, but apparently a replacement window is always slightly smaller than an original window. Is that kosher?
Well, I'll let Chris Durbom address that one. Chris? Are you here? Is he here? Chris? All right,
Maybe can't.
I mean, the guidelines and most places say you maintain the proportions.
Mm-hmm.
And the district that you're in, this is Greater Prospect Hill, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a little more lenient
Right.
about that, so I don't believe we would have a problem
Okay.
with, so.
Okay.
Not the fuss.
Then the other thing is, as we talked about, those two front windows that you can see in this picture are these really skinny windows. This is a 3-bedroom house. When we purchased it, it was called 3-bedroom. That is basically the biggest bedroom. The one to the left, the window on the left, is a really small bedroom, which is within that other bedroom. So you have to go through the bigger bedroom to get to that bedroom. And then the other bedroom has a staircase in it, and it's the only access to the bathroom. So the whole house is very strange. But those are, according to the building department, those are the bedrooms. There's a finished upstairs with 3 dormers that are basically bedrooms. So people who lived there before had beds in each one. So they had been, and there was smoke detectors and all that. But according to the building department, it was a 3-bedroom, which I agree with. But they're saying they're the lower rooms. Going through one room and going to the bathroom, you have to go through someone else's room. But that's what they're considering bedrooms. So they're considering this a bedroom for tax purposes. So if it had always been a bedroom, they would allow us to, they're telling me, they would allow me to replace the little windows just the way they are, because historically it was a bedroom and you can replace what was there. Today, though, I was told that, because I had originally thought about making that one window just because to me it would look nicer. But after I mentioned that to Richard, and I can't remember his name, but from the community neighborhood association or the historical
group. He had written me a very long response explaining that the 2 windows, you know, he felt were more historically accurate. And so I said, well, I won't bother with, you know, that's fine. We'll go with the 2. But then after talking to the building department, since those don't meet egress, and the building department believes that that was not historically a bedroom. He said he believes it was obviously changed at some point along the way. There's no telling when that was done, but his feeling is that was not a bedroom. So because of that, even though it's been a bedroom for probably as long as this last person had owned it, 20 years or more, and then who knows how long before that, it basically, to continue to use it as a bedroom, they're telling me that the only option would be to make that a single merged window so that it would meet egress. So this is the conundrum we have. Like I said, I would prefer to make it 1 window for ease of, I want it to be safe for whoever's gonna live there too. But, and they don't seem to have a problem. I don't think that one on the left meets egress for that tiny bedroom. But because they believe that that was always historically built as a bedroom, they say we can replace it as is. But these, they're saying no. So
they're willing to grandfather the old windows even though they don't provide egress.
yes,
But
if it was a bedroom, they say.
Originally.
but they don't know.
Nobody knows.
So if you just decide it's a bedroom.
I said it's a bedroom. It's obviously a bedroom. It's the biggest, it's the only proper bedroom in the whole house because the other one is within it and the other one is a staircase and bathroom. So to me, I tried to argue that.
This is a building problem, it's not a planning problem.
Oh.
Yeah, it's building. It's a building.
I wanted to blame him for something.
And I don't want to drag. I don't want to drag the building department through the mud because I
like the middle.
yeah, they've been very nice to deal with. And he's walked the house with me because the upstairs we had an issue too, because the window above those 2 windows would not meet egress, and we were hoping to make one of the bedrooms be up there to continue to have a 3-bedroom house, and take the bathroom bedroom, basically have it be upstairs instead. But we've given up on that because that front little window won't meet egress no matter what we do. So now we're down to basically it's going to become a 2-bedroom house, or we have to just leave these not very functional windows in there, and you know, so that's the conundrum we have.
Well, hopefully we will address that as we go.
Yeah, and let me make sure there was that other window we talked about, the smaller. Just to explain, yeah, it is. She mentioned the staircase. The stairs are very super steep and only about 2 feet wide, so a larger person can't get up the stairs. A child could fall from the stairs. So we are planning to reroute the stairs to make them to code. To do that, the only place to really properly do it in the house is to come towards that south window and turn right in front of the window, which is why we'd like to make it basically a half window, just have the top half there and then put siding over the bottom half. So I think that is, one other small thing, and I'm sorry, maybe it's not small, but I'm sorry to throw this in, the curveball. I had said that all of them would be double hung except for the casement upstairs. Since we cannot make that bedroom upstairs, I will keep it a double hung, and I think that would look better, and I could go with your all recommendation on that. But the backside would still be a casement, as I had talked about in the questionnaire thing.
Backside, like the rear elevation?
Yeah, towards the backyard of the house. Yeah, there's a similar window at the top.
And then that one that's at the landing, the new stair landing, that's gonna be
I guess we would be, it's just gonna be part of the living room now, so we could do either a picture window or a double hung, whatever you all would prefer. But the other thing would be, and I don't know if you have those other pictures I'd included in there, Gloria, I think, or actually the one that you showed with the half a window shows the a slider window, and I had forgot all about that when I was, the one on the left is into a back porch area. That's actually a slider, and it wouldn't make sense to be a double hung, so I want to make sure that that's okay. There's a similar window on the back side of the house in the kitchen, yeah. The left, on the bottom on the left, yeah.
So basically, if you replace like with like.
Like with like.
There's no issues.
Okay, what about on the back it's a similar window to that, same size, but it's the kind that you crank out. Was it like Jalusi or something? I don't know how you say it. It's each one is hinged this way. I think there's 3 hinges.
Oh, so it's like a jalousie.
Yeah, that's what you call it. So the kitchen is like that. So I'm wondering if we can put a slider there. You can see it behind the, right in the middle of that picture. It's behind the umbrella, yeah. See,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So that's a kitchen window, and I, again, had just kind of lumped all these together, forgetting that we had a couple of different windows.
Gloria, is this visible from the public right away?
I would have to look at the map.
Okay.
It can't be, that's,
No.
that's.
It faces the backyard, and
Yeah,
it's,
But there's these sneaky alleyways.
Oh.
that-
What criteria for visible are you using?
If there's a public right of way that a member of the public can see that facade
Well,
from, if there's a fence in front of it, they can't see it.
Yeah, so there's an alley in the
Yeah,
back, but
yeah.
there's a good 80 feet.
where is the alley? Because I thought there was a neighbor house. Sneaky, is it grassed?
Probably.
Oh, okay.
I'm just getting a drink of water, I don't have any questions or comments.
Oh, through the grass, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Oh, yeah, the alleys they're what we call technically.
Gotcha,
And-
gotcha.
and So I don't know what the Historic Preservation Commission considers for visible, but there's a lot of trees, it's really far, that's a small window.
It's minimally visible, it's visible, but it's minimally so, and we'll take that into account, so.
Yeah.
When do we go into comments? Renard, do you have comments?
So you want to replace one window?
No, all the windows need replacing,
Oh, yes, questions, my bad.
yeah.
But the COA.
Do I start?
The CO. So on page
No, okay,
95.
Renard, we're switching up a little, Marlene.
Oh,
Go ahead.
on page 95, is this, Gloria, is this the sum total of the COA? Because it speaks to one window being replaced from a 27.568 to 27.534.
So the application page.
That page 95, Bernard, is just providing additional information regarding that one.
That's
About that
about the
window.
window that's
Okay.
been closed off partially.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
added that, that was why it
Yeah.
was that way.
It
Sorry
says
about
the
that.
current windows, so it's all the windows.
Yeah,
Okay.
all the windows are being replaced, but only that one is going to be
Squished.
shortened.
Okay, so you're doing like with everything.
Right, everything else will be within the same frame,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it.
And there is, again, a picture window on the north side too. That would be a picture window. I mean, we'll just replace what's there if that's all right, yeah.
Replacing in kind is
Yeah.
never a problem.
Yeah.
All right, Ernesto, do you have any questions?
No questions, no, thank you.
Chris, do you have any questions?
Are these windows that are being replaced are old replacement windows, is that correct?
The majority are old replacement windows. There are, I think that one that I want to make half a window and the other one on the south side, I think those may be original, but I'm not sure.
The front window is the one I'm questioning.
The front windows, the two that I'm talking about merging for sure replacement, I don't know about the one that's on the left or the southeast part facing the road. I'm not sure about that one. You can see it in that next, or
Yeah,
the first
I don't
picture.
care about that one.
You're just concerned about the ones on the front facade, right, Chris?
Right,
Well, but so can you go back up to the very first photo and the whole thing? That one I think shows it. It was hidden behind a tree
It's
in the
scroll
original.
down, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
It's actually down.
There, okay, well, you can't see here. It's behind the large tree on the left, but we've taken that tree out now. The two middle
yeah,
windows
the
are,
first picture showed it more
yeah,
clearly.
yeah.
Let me just,
That one could be original. I honestly
Sorry.
don't know.
there we go.
There it is.
Yeah, yeah.
So, are those vinyl windows that you're replacing, or are those old wood windows that you're replacing,
This-
or what?
So the one on the left there, I believe, is wood, and the ones on the south side are wood. Everything else,
No, this pair, the twins.
the twins are vinyl.
Twin
Those,
double
yeah, those are a vinyl replacement window, yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Okay, that's why nobody can know if it's new or old or anything
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just leave it alone. Thank you.
Marlene, do you have questions?
No questions.
Marlene?
Richard Lewis has got his hand up to ask public.
Yep, I have a question. I have a question. I have a question.
Okay, questions?
So this, it's kind of, so I have a question about this room. So often mortgage companies and codes don't consider a bedroom, a room that you have to walk through to get to a public space.
Right.
So, so then I'm curious about how all these decisions are made about rooms that you have to pass through. So the first room on the left, I assume, would be a bedroom, but the thing in the front, which looks most likely to be a public space, would have been a public space, not a bedroom. So,
That's what they say.
right, pardon?
That's what the building department is saying, yes. It's
So then,
exactly what you
by
said.
code and by, for mortgage purposes and for any other legal purpose, that one room with the double windows is not a bedroom. I mean, you can use it as a bedroom, but it really isn't a bedroom. Because you have to walk through it.
Yeah,
from a bedroom to get to another room, so it has to be a public space. The other room also may not be a bedroom either if the stairway goes through the bedroom to get to a public space. So I'm a little confused and concerned about all the window changes and the comments about the number of bedrooms that has to be done and what doesn't have to be done. I don't know if it's a comment or a question, but I think by code, any room that you have to pass through from a bedroom has to be a public space. That's all I can say. And I don't know if you're planning on renting this or whatever, but code and mortgage companies usually do not call those pass-through rooms bedroom.
So just to answer that, I thought the same thing, which is why when we had purchased it, we believed that the upper two finished rooms were bedrooms. And I thought though that the larger room downstairs with the two windows there was one of them, and then the other two were upstairs because the other ones downstairs didn't make sense to me to be bedrooms. And it's been taxed as a 3-bedroom for ever, I think, as far as I can see back on Elevate. So, and the upper portion is all finished. There's actually a bathroom up there. So to me, it makes sense that 2 of the bedrooms were upstairs. But the building department is who told me that the 3 bedrooms would have been the ground floor rooms. They say that. I'm sorry?
I think they better meet the code. And also, I have a question. Is there a skylight on the roof?
There is a skylight in the upper room up there, yeah. That's the room that's like what we were hoping to consider a bedroom, but because it doesn't meet egress, it can't be. But
I'm wondering if the skylight in some way has been the egress, because I really can't buy that the bedrooms on the first floor are all bedrooms if you have to pass through.
I asked that question too, and they told me that the building department told me that it does not have, it can be a room within a room to be a bedroom, this is what they told me yesterday or today, and that it also doesn't have to have a closet, which I didn't know that either. But apparently,
Legally, the legal definition of a bedroom is a room with egress window and a closet of a certain dimension.
that's what the building department says, that they don't require a closet. So that's where I'm confused. But 2 different people from the building department came out to look at it, and both of them said they didn't have to have a closet because the upstairs, one of the rooms upstairs doesn't have a closet. And so that was my question to them also.
Yeah, yes, okay.
Yeah. I've asked all these same questions.
All right, Marlene, do you have any more questions?
Nope.
Daniel, do you have questions?
No, I do not.
Matthew?
Nope.
Elizabeth?
No.
Did we get you already on questions?
No
Okay.
more questions. I have so many questions.
Okay.
Public, Richard Lewis has his.
Okay, we'll get to the public right after we, yeah, actually, let's do the public. Anybody from the public have any comments? Anyone?
Hi, is it okay to go ahead?
Yes, please go ahead, state your name.
Hi, yes, hi, this is Richard Lewis. I am on the Design Review Committee for the Greater Prospect Hills Historic District. Thanks for taking my comment, I appreciate that. Just to clarify, for Greater Prospect Hills Historic District guidelines, alleys do not count as part of the public way facade. So any windows along the alley or visible at the back of the house from the alley do not count in our guidelines as public way facade. So for this house, the only public way facade defined in our guidelines would be the Maple Street side, that's visible along the sidewalk. So hopefully that helps clarify as far as window modifications on the alley side and on the back. I will say that this project has changed slightly since our design review committee took a look at it, and so I do have concerns about changing that double window in the front room on the front of the house to a single, because then that does get very close to a picture window, which is not in the style of the late 1800s or early 1900s house. And I know that the design review committee before my time has weighed in against changing those, because it does change the proportions of the fenestration in a way that does not maintain the streetscape, which is what we are mostly attempting to maintain with these guidelines. Again, we can't necessarily know if that window was widened at some point, and I think the petitioner was going to send some window dimensions, which I haven't seen yet, so I have no way of knowing how that front window compares to the kind of window off to the left of it. It's the 6/6, but it appears that it would be noticeably wider if that were converted to a single double hung window or a picture window. So I personally can't speak for the committee, but I myself would not be in favor of converting that to a single in this case without further, further substantiation of as far as dimensions. I think that's it from my end. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have the dimensions of the single.
Okay, all right. We might go around and do comments. Marlene, you have comments?
Yep, I do. So I agree with the last speaker about and that's one of my concerns about that front room being a bedroom. I think that the thin double windows on the front facade are a defining character, and I wouldn't support replacing them with one window.
Is that it? You have further comments? Marlene?
No, that's why I said that's it.
Okay, I didn't hear that, sorry. Daniel, do you have comments?
No comments.
Matthew?
No.
Elizabeth?
No.
Bernard?
No.
Ernesto?
Yes. Can we, I know it's a question, but I'm trying to phrase it as a comment.
Cheating.
Okay, let me frame it like this. It would be interesting to see the actual dimensions for that front window, just to clarify it and move forward on that.
Yeah, I think the petitioner can address that.
Yeah, so I went around actually today, I was trying to figure out, so I took pictures in the same neighborhood of other houses that had similar sized windows, so I brought those along to show like some with a similar large window in the front, but
Yeah, how can you,
I don't know if I can hold it up if people can see that. Yeah, maybe.
yeah.
So this house is a couple doors down. This is to the north on Maple Street in the same neighborhood. It has a large picture, not a picture window, but double hung, but it's similar size. So to answer the question on size, I measured the if it was a single window, what it would be just this afternoon, and it would be 45.5 inches wide and 70 inches is what it is tall.
So
and
is that the actual dimension of the existing 2 windows?
Yes, that's the whole opening, yeah.
Thank you.
And then, so then I had just several that I took in the Prospect Hill neighborhood. I don't know if these are gonna show up very well, but with one big window up front, I went around and just took a bunch of pictures of houses in the neighborhoods. But anyway, just kind of to show what it would look like and that there are others similar.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump in with a question.
Sure.
Through all of this, would if you could do anything you want, would you replace like with like there, or would you rather have a bigger
I
window?
feel, I understand, I am a person who enjoys historic things. So we actually own a historic church and have been through the historic preservation process with that. And I do definitely appreciate that. My concern is that this is a home and as far as someone using that bedroom.
Okay.
And for egress, honestly, is my biggest concern. Because there aren't proper, we cannot put bedrooms upstairs. Well, we can put one bedroom upstairs, but this one cannot be a bedroom. So basically, we'd be going down to, if we remove this, we'd be going from a 3-bedroom house to a 2-bedroom house with a teeny tiny bedroom would be the only, that bedroom is like 8 feet by 10 feet, the little one on the left. And if that's your only ground floor bedroom, this is like not a very functional house in this day and age. Because it's almost 2,000 square feet, but the only ground floor bedroom would be 8 by 10. So I think someone's gonna wanna use this for a bedroom at some point, when they live in this home. So that's my concern.
Okay.
Is egress, to be honest.
All right.
And since there are other examples of large windows like that in just a couple doors down, to me it seems reasonable, but I know it's not my decision. So.
All right, did I get everybody's comments so far? I've got a couple of comments and some suggestions, and then I want to get maybe some feedback from the petitioner. I'm an architect, and if you're interested, there are roof egress windows you can get. So if you are interested in turning that upstairs into a legal bedroom, that is possible. That said, I share both Marlene and I think it's Mr. Lewis, their concerns about changing the proportions of that front window. I appreciate that you have a lot of other examples of wider double hung windows, but that's a different house. This house has this arrangement of windows, and I think the most elegant windows on the whole building are the 2 that the building department wants you to rip out and for egress. And it's a life safety issue, and I appreciate that. The only thing that I can think to maybe do is do a French casement window with, so it swings out with no central bar. That has horizontal mullions, which might maintain the proportioning of the original opening and the slenderness and the verticality of the existing windows. So I get that you've got a quandary. And I like people at the building department. I think they're very practical individuals, and they know their stuff. Although I'm very confused about the bedroom situation here. So
I guess my other question is, we could just leave it. That other, if, they don't function properly, but my understanding is if we leave those 2 windows and we take care of all the rest of them, we actually that would be okay, if I'm understanding.
And these are vinyl replacement windows? Yeah. But you also, this is something that I was shocked to learn in Bloomington. If you're just doing a window replacement job, you don't have to have a permit for that, a building permit for that. That's what all of my contractors tell me, but I would check the legality of that.
I thought the reason was because I had to come before here.
Well, you do have to come before here because you're changing a bunch of windows and stuff, but if you're just doing a window replacement,
I was thinking that the building, because they were the ones who referred me here, because I didn't even realize
Yeah,
that it was.
you're doing a bunch of other work,
Yeah.
which kicks into
Yeah.
building
Right.
permit, which
Yeah.
kicks you into coming to see
Yeah.
us. So
Yeah.
there's a chain reaction
Sure,
here.
sure.
But there are dozens and dozens of houses within the city limits that are just doing window replacements,
Sure.
which do not require a building permit, so we don't ever see them, which makes us
Even though they're
sad.
historic.
Even though they're historic.
Well, many that are historic but not in historic districts. We do
Yeah.
catch most of the historic districts.
Yes. Yes. So
So would that be an option then, if we, because I'm wondering if what we're gonna run into as far as cost and things, if we do this big opening window.
if you would just leave those two
We just
windows
leave
there
those
and
two
then
windows.
swap the rest of them out, I think most of the objections of both the design review committee and other members of this commission might disappear. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but my understanding was, and I would be happy with that too, because I also agree. My understanding was you'd rather have a bigger window.
I mean, just for safety, yeah,
egress.
but, so they will still continue, and they don't actually function very well. So they would actually be more of a hazard. But if it's that, if our hands are tied and we can't use this as a bedroom, but we can, the way the building department is saying, we can use this as a bedroom, as it has been for as long as we can tell, as long as we don't change them, even though they don't meet egress. There's so many different factors involved because it's not, they're considering it not originally designed as a bedroom. They're saying that then you have to meet egress totally. Whereas if it had been intended to be a bedroom like the one on the left, even though it maybe doesn't, I don't know if that one meets egress technically, we would have been able to just replace with in kind and
Yeah.
it be legal.
Yeah, they're not gonna make egress because they're just too skinny.
Yeah.
I mean,
Can I make a comment real quick?
Sure thing.
Just in terms of the legality of this, under the International Building Residential Code, the definition of a bedroom is to have an egress window and a closet. Otherwise, it's not considered a bedroom.
Yeah.
Even in the real estate law, sorry, my dog. You have to have both of those to be legally a bedroom.
Yep.
Even for the real estate world, so you have those two things to work with.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, just to go back to the idea of having this a single pane, window, casement, you can do, I think Sam mentioned this, you can include a horizontal bar in the actual grid, the 6/6, and from the exterior, from the street level, it would look like a double hung, but it will provide you with the egress that you're required for a bedroom. So that's how we have dealt with these issues before, because of egress, because double hungs won't provide you with enough square foot area to meet egress. So it's a lot easier to use casement windows because it gives you the entire frame size to be able to get out in case of a fire. But you can resolve the aesthetics of the window by having these mullions built into the window, and from the street, it would look just like double hulls. That's it.
Thank you.
So I have a comment.
Go for it.
I think that may be too wide for a casement. It's 46 inches wide.
47 and change?
45.5.
45?
wide.
Yeah.
All right. So it may be our only solution at this point is that's at the moment acceptable to everybody is approve everything with the exception of those two windows and just leave those in place.
Okay.
Is that, I mean, I'm just looking for a path forward. Does anybody have other thoughts?
I get what everybody's saying about the twin windows, and I do, but my overall sense is that for a lot of people going through this neighborhood, changing that to a single kind of picture window wouldn't cause you to think this thing really sticks out and isn't part of the historic neighborhood. I think that's it's just a judgment call on my part. I don't,
Well, she needs it to be operable for egress.
Right, and I thought if you replace it with a single thing, then you would.
Double hung, yeah.
Double hung,
Then it's operable
then it's operable.
and meets egress.
So I'm happy with that, but, you know, if no one else is, I'm not gonna
Okay.
lie on the floor and object.
I mean, the other thing we could say is, like, if you put in a big double hung and then put a vertical, make it like a 2/2.
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Renard?
I mean, it's probably really expensive, but what about just getting a custom window built?
That's what we're talking about here.
Okay, I'll shut up now.
No, I mean, whatever, because it's an existing opening and you have to match the existing opening, it's gonna be a custom window no matter what you do. Do we have,
That I'd be happy with too.
does anyone else
Would
have
you
a
be happy
comment?
with that?
Marlene?
Marlene, you have a
The
comment?
problem with those two windows is not necessarily that they don't work, but it's actually the size of them, because the fireman can't get through the window with
Yep.
that equipment.
I hear you.
And so that's what the problem is, so,
Yeah,
I don't know, but I still think they're,
you still think what?
I still think those two thin windows are defining characteristics of the facade.
Yes, I'm not arguing that.
Or I think what we're trying to do is find a way that it still has that defining feel and defining characteristic, but also functions for egress. Isn't that right, Sam? Is that what you were sort of suggesting?
Yeah, but I don't know that that is achievable. That's what we would like to do. There are, you know, fussy differences between a big wide double hung with a vertical stripe down the middle as opposed to two slender double hungs.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be the same thing.
Because it won't be raised like,
Yeah.
you know what I
Right.
mean? It'll still have that separation in the middle with those interior.
Yeah, so it's not a one-to-one
Yeah.
I
thing.
could live with that.
Well, do you want to make a motion?
Yes.
One more question option.
All right,
A lot of these houses have two doors off the porch. Is there room to come into that bedroom with another door and then it has an egress and the windows don't matter?
So through the door that you see there, that's a interior, enclosed porch, which is now just part of the home.
so that wouldn't work.
So it'd be coming in off the front porch into the bedroom. Does that make sense?
Is the porch deep enough to just turn left and have two front doors?
But the porch is enclosed,
On the outer
Chris.
side, going
Oh, no,
directly
it's
into
not.
the bedroom?
It's less than a foot, I think. Actually, it looks deeper there, but no, there's not room. That's just a little bump out of a porch.
It's a shallow,
Yeah,
like the other side.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, unfortunately.
Richard has another question.
Richard Lewis.
Richard?
Yes, hi, I realize I should probably only comment one time, but I appreciate Mr. Solar's comment about the possibility of a double casement window. I'm on the Jeld-Wen site right now. They do have what's called a casement French push-out. So there's two sets of hinges on the outer frames, you know, the left and right kind of outer frames of the window with the central casement push-out so that you get the kind of vertical look, the vertical division between the two side-by-side panes. And then, you know, I haven't looked far enough to see about the option of adding horizontal muntins in there, but they do have a product in the Jeld-Wen catalog that sort of answers what Mr. DeSala was talking about.
I think the big question is on that one, which is what Mr. Sturbaum brought up, is do they make one big enough?
Yeah, I was trying to find dimensions, but I haven't gotten there yet. I apologize.
Hey, Sam, I just look at, even Pella doesn't provide such a wide, over 48 inches wide window.
Yes, no, do you say?
No, I just checked.
Okay, so that's dead in the water. So it's either gonna be a double hung or leave it alone.
And the maximum that I see is 40 inches wide.
Yeah, all right, good to know. And otherwise, what's the width? I mean, they might be able to get away with a casement, with not a French casement, but a pair of casements.
Yeah.
I actually don't have that list, or I sent that to you. Did that get included in the packet where, did I send you the list of each window and its dimensions?
Each window? No.
I thought I emailed it to you, but maybe somehow that didn't
We're
get
doing a little
emailed.
bit too much problem solving.
Sorry.
On this one. I think what we might do is give you a couple of suggestions and ask you to come back.
Okay.
But if you would look at whether you can do a pair of casement windows that will satisfy egress within that opening. So you still get the verticality, but you have the whole.
I know that
the width won't do it.
The width won't do it.
Okay,
Yeah, 'cause
so then
it's actually 23.25 currently.
Okay, so then you got the two options. You've got the big double hung, which we know you can do, or a French casement. So.
The case could be continued to the next meeting.
Yeah.
There's still time in the 30 days if that is an option you wish to pursue.
I just, whatever you all recommend.
Well, if you're willing, if you have a leaning one way or the other, if you would like to continue so you can research whether or not you can do a French casement window, or whether you just like to leave the windows alone, those two windows alone.
Can you recommend that we could do either of those things? So basically, if we decide to leave it, that we wouldn't have to come to the next meeting, but if we want to, that we would to do the casement to come to the
I think the issue here is that a number of commissioners and the design review committee are unhappy about changing the proportions of that front window. That's the sticking point.
Right.
If you don't want to come back, we can say you leave those alone.
Yeah.
And we could probably get a motion that would pass. If you want to change the operation of those windows, I would recommend the continuance.
Okay, so, but just so I'm understanding, so I can research what you're talking about, but I thought they just said that they don't make one wide enough to do what you're saying? Or you're saying to do the double hung, to come back?
Okay, you're right, I have mixed myself up. It sounds like the casement options are right out. So I need a motion, whether it's a window, a double hung window, or leave them alone. I think those are our options, and I'd appreciate a motion from a fellow commissioner.
Double hung or leave them alone?
Or you can just move to approve.
What is moved to, would move to approve be the double hung replacement for the front? Or,
we got to spell it out because it's changed.
yeah, okay. So I move to approve COA 2262 and allowing a replacement of those front two windows under the gable with double hung. A single double hung, is that what we're talking about? So one big double hung window? Yes, that's what I move.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Yeah, tell me what you're talking about, your idea.
No, I checked, it has to.
It has to. Okay.
Sounds like I'm the only one okay with it, so we can probably die. My feelings aren't hurt.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and second it.
All right.
Marlene Newman,
No.
Daniel Schlegel,
Yes.
Sam DeSaller,
No.
is that a no?
That's a no.
Okay, thank you. Matthew Seddon,
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell,
Yeah.
Bernard Cross.
No.
It didn't go.
It didn't go.
I don't think it went. Dee, is my math right?
Yes, that's right. It did not go.
All right.
That's the closest vote we've had.
No, this is contentious. So.
It wasn't even that close with the smokestack.
Well, I mean, this one's tricky.
It is, I agree.
Okay, so I think the other motion to make, and I might as well make it, is that I move to approve, what COA? COA 22-62?
2, yes.
2, as is, with the exception, the caveat that the 2 front slender double hung windows remain as is.
Second.
And you could always come back and try again and argue something else, actually. It's left on them.
But this lets you go ahead with the rest of it. Dee, would you call the roll?
Okay, Marlene Newman,
Yes.
Daniel Schlegel,
Yes.
Sam DeSaller,
Yes.
Matthew Seddon,
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell,
Yes.
Bernard Cross.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me. Sorry it was contrived.
No,
There's a lot to this.
It was a tricky one.
Thank you.
Okay. That was a long one. So we're up to COA 22-63.
COA 22-63 at 206 South Maple Street. The petitioner, Derek Flynn,
Yes.
is requesting for the full demolition of a detached garage. The neighborhood comments, yes, tear down that garage. It has absolutely no redeeming qualities. It was falling down 20 years ago. It is not economically feasible to rebuild it. It does not adhere to current setbacks. It likely encroaches on the alley. It will likely fall over soon and is dangerous. Staff currently recommends denying 22-63 with the recommendation to repair or rebuild. So to come back with a recommendation that the petitioner come back to repair or rebuild the existing garage. According to the Shard survey, the garage was supposedly built circa 1940, has asphalt shingle gable roof and vinyl siding, limestone retaining wall. The neighborhood subcommittee does favor the full demolition of the accessory structure due to its state. However, staff has concern that the structure has been falling apart over a long period of time, deterioration that should have been mitigated or avoided through repair and maintenance. According to Title 8.12.10C2, neglect is not considered grounds for demolition. Here is the location. The primary structure is in red. The lot is marked in black. The detached garage is marked in yellow. Here is another image. An aerial image. The detached garage is marked in number 2. And here are some images of the detached garage. The roof is caving in. There's vegetation growing on it. It is in a highly deteriorated state. And let me see if I can show, sorry, I don't want to scroll through them too quickly. Here's another image of the detached garage, and with this, I leave it to the HPC to make their determination.
Is the petitioner here?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you for your patience. Do you have anything to add to this account?
Yeah, so just a couple quick comments. So obviously what you had seen from people in the neighborhood saying, yeah, it's in a dilapidated state, has been for 20 plus years. My big concern, as well as the homeowner's concern, is the way that this was constructed. If it was built
80 plus years ago. It's all 2x4 structure, which would be fine if it was constructed nowadays. But the way the rafters tie in at the top, they are just meeting each other and are toe-nailed in. They do have small 2x4 supports to attach to each one, but 2 to 3 of them have already snapped and started failing, which is putting the additional weight of the roof on the rest of the roof structure and pushing the walls out. The structure sits only 2 feet off of the alleyway, and 13 feet to the south is the neighboring property, and 13 feet to the east is his primary structure. He's concerned with anybody's well-being, cars, property that is in close proximity to that. Now, another big thing about this structure is the roof has at least 4 visible layers of asphalt shingle. So there could potentially be more, as well as on the siding, there are 2 visible layers. So that is a ton of weight on that small structure. And I'm not sure that there is anything that could be done to salvage that structure. It really needs to be mowed down and rebuilt if the homeowner decides to rebuild.
Thank you. Commissioner, questions? Marlene, do you have questions?
Gosh, Sam, you're getting tricky.
Yeah, I am.
No, I don't have any questions.
Daniel?
No, not.
Matthew?
How long has the current owner owned the property?
I'm not exactly sure on that.
Ballpark?
We could look it up.
He has been a client of mine for the past 4 years. We've done little jobs for him here and there, but at least that long.
Hang on a second. I'll look that up in just a sec.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions?
No.
Elizabeth? 2008.
No. I don't have any questions.
All right. Renard?
Has this building been examined by an engineer or somebody with any kind of expertise to determine whether or not the disrepair can be fixed economically? I don't see any kind of...
To get in there.
Matthew, 2017, sorry.
2017?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, I haven't seen any kind of engineer's report or anything from any informed, I don't know, any expert to give a report on the condition of this building. I just see a lot of opinions from, people in the community, and I don't know on what these opinions are based.
Sure. Yeah, we haven't had a structural engineer out to take a look at the structure. Reason being is because upon my inspection, if you can see in some of those photos, almost all of his contents in there have been abandoned because he is worried about actually going in there. About the only thing that he uses that for is right at the doorway. He'll put his small push mower in and out of there. But everything else he has abandoned, has not gone in there any deeper than opening the door. And I have not gone in there. I would not go in there, and I wouldn't recommend anybody go inside that structure because it could collapse at any time.
Any other questions, Renard? Ernesto, you have questions?
I do. It would be interesting to find out for how long they have owned this property.
2017.
Okay. And prior to that, why is it has been in neglect for so long? That's what I'm trying to get at.
That is hard to tell, but one thing that you can consider is roofs, other than nowadays, but back, several years ago, you could consider a roof to last for 20 years. if that structure was built just over 80 years ago, and I see 4 additional layers of roofing, that means every time that those 20 years lapsed and somebody was ready to replace the roof, they wanted to take the cheap and easy way out and just put the new roof on over the old pre-existing. So without talking to, prior homeowners, whether they're still around or not, that would be the only way to get those answers.
Okay, thank you.
Chris, do you have any questions?
No questions.
All right, do we have any comments from the public? Gloria, is anybody putting their hand up?
If anybody's in the public online and you want to comment, you can raise your hand using the hand function in Zoom. Nothing.
No, okay, nothing from the public. Marlene, do you have comments?
To be sure, the building is in a rough situation. But for my own part, I would have to go with the counsel of our staff members.
Daniel, do you have comments?
No.
Yeah?
This reminds me of that case we did a couple of weeks ago or a month ago with the brick house and the attached garage, and it had been falling down, and the arguments of, well, you bought it and it was already falling down. I don't think the petitioner has done this in by neglect. It sounds, this damage is way before their ownership. But, so it's tough. I think I'd be willing to, I'm willing to support the COA, but it is tough.
Elizabeth?
Yeah, you make a good point there, but then if you're reading the guidelines, it's not, that doesn't support the demolition. Yeah, that's a problem I have with that. It doesn't.
Well, immediate and substantial threat to public safety.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Closeness to the alley. But you're right. I mean.
Yeah, that it doesn't support that at all. Boy.
Do you have other comments?
Yeah, I'm not totally convinced by that. I kind of agree with Bernard. I don't see any other than people's sentiment about that, and of course it's obvious, but I don't see any professional, anybody saying, other than I know what my eyes tell me. And you may think it's obvious, but I don't see, I'd like to see somebody else saying other than what my eyes say.
I hear you.
So that's what I have to say on it.
All right. Bernard?
This packet is thin. I hear a lot of opinions about danger to public safety, but I don't see where any engineer or any public safety person has commented to say that it is. The roof looks rough, but I've seen roofs in worse conditions repaired. And the issue about the rafters joining, with no roof beam, I think that's what he's commenting on. Yeah, I have personal knowledge of that, and it has been effectively repaired by putting in a roof beam and joining the rafters to it and putting in cross members and repairing these roofs in similar or worse states than this. I'm not saying that if evidence were presented, I wouldn't support it, but I haven't seen any evidence to support justifying tearing this thing down. All I have is unsubstantiated opinion from people who have no expertise in the matter, and I couldn't vote to have it demolished based on that.
Ernesto?
Yes, yes, I mean, my main concern here is number one, has there been a structural report?
No.
No, we have not had a structural engineer out on site.
It would be interested to find out what an engineer says from the engineer perspective. But from my experience, that roof can be replaced. I think we just have to look at this beyond the weeds and over the broken roof. It looks like the base of it, the walls could be salvaged. Yes, roof collapses over time, especially when they were designed undersized. So I don't know. The neutral opinion would be an engineer to give you a clear response of this, if this can be restored, salvaged for what it is. I don't mind at all the fact that it encroaches into the alley. I think that's what it does, this whole neighborhoods. That's just what it is. You will find that very often. But structurally, we could have a neutral, assessment of the structure, and if it's salvageable. That's all.
Thank you. Chris, do you have comments?
Well, just that I know this house and I know this garage a little bit. And I know the owner that died, 15 or 20 years ago, and then his son lived in it and it wasn't maintained, and this is a new purchaser. Maintaining that setback is useful, and that this is an unusable alley. You can't drive all the way through the alley because it's about 45 degrees down after you pass this garage. So it shows as an alley, but it's about half an alley, which means the two houses share it as a driveway. And this is I've parked in front of this garage when we worked on the house next door. It's in terrible shape, I see that. Be probably less expensive to build it new than to fix it. I'm sympathetic to the neighbors too that would like to probably see it taken care of. And I don't know that someone's gonna put money into fixing the garage because they haven't put money into fixing the house for, living memory. So I don't know what this new petitioner has in mind for the house, but I'd be sympathetic toward letting this garage go probably, but I think they'd be smarter to keep it and fix it, but they may not have the budget for that.
Thank you. Daniel, did I miss you?
No.
Okay.
And just to clarify.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm realizing there is a difference between this one and the big Tudor-style brick house, which is there is no proposal yet for a new build of the garage. It is simply demolish the garage.
Right.
Gotcha. And that'll change the appearance of the lot and the development. Okay. All right. That influences me. Okay.
All right. Do we have any motions?
I've made a lot of motions tonight. Time for someone else to make a motion.
I move that we don't approve. What is it? COA 22-63.
And,
I'll second.
well, until he gets someone to look at it, or just don't approve it?
Well, I would like to see more. I don't know if we could, how would you tailor that motion?
I don't think you need to tailor it.
No, he just, he reapplies.
Deny it, and then you can ask them to come back with the substantiated.
So I move that we do not approve COA 22-63.
Marlene, did you? Sorry?
I would feel more comfortable denying it at this point, because I think that what Gloria is leading to is the Pokarski versus Historic District Commission in Norwich, Connecticut. And we don't really have the purview to talk about whether it's financially feasible or not. We have to talk about whether the building itself is historically viable, is historically valuable.
Yep.
And so that's why I would suggest that one.
The motion's been made to deny, and I believe it was seconded,
I do.
so that's where we are. Dee, will you call the roll?
Marlene Newman,
Yes, so I'm voting to deny it, right?
Exactly, yes.
Oh, great.
and Daniel Schlegel,
Yes.
Sam DeSaller,
Yes.
Matthew Seddon,
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell,
Yes.
Bernard Cross.
Yes.
So motion carries to deny.
Thank you. All right, where are we? Oh. You want to come to the table?
Okay.
We're up to COA 22-64. Thank you for your patience.
So 200 East Kirkwood Avenue, the petitioner Tim Cover is proposing a new addition to the Bloomington National Savings and Loan Association building. Staff recommends, hold up, never mind. Staff changes recommendation after having seen the newest plans. And we will switch to the addendum very soon. Basically to say yes, to approve, to recommend approval of COA 22-64. The petitioner has been meeting regularly with members of the HPC, specifically those with architectural background, and has reworked this proposal multiple times already in order to find the very difficult but careful balance between new construction and respecting an existing historic building, especially in a small lot and a high density zone. So here's the presentation. I did want to ask Tim, would you like to do the presentation for your building? I could just give you the computer and you can scroll up and down. You can either like use the arrow key to go up or scroll.
Oh, gotcha. All right, so we're on our first image. Well, first of all, thank you for hearing me this evening. I hope to really kind of present a success story on how the HPC process can work and has worked. A month ago, I brought you a very different proposal that, quite frankly, the addition was the predominant component versus the existing building. As far as when you viewed the structure, viewed the project, I reached out to Gloria and asked if I could work with a subcommittee to kind of work through the design. Subsequently, I had the opportunity to work with Sam and Marlene and Duncan over the past month. We met virtually during that month once a week. And each week I brought back basically new iterations based on comments and discussions. And, to be honest, when I started the process, I didn't know really what it was going to be like. And what I learned very quickly was that we had some great open discussion. And with that, as a result of that, we went through the process and simplified the building to create what I would say is a much more elegant approach that allows the existing building to shine through. And with that, ended up with a product that I think not only the subcommittee group was happy with, but the owner's happy with. And as the designer, I'm quite happy with. I think it has just become a better project. So the items in terms of, kind of what's changed over that time period is when we started, we had the building much more forward. The addition, it had the fourth story came out to the corner as well. There were multiple materials on the building facade. And so we went through, and in this process, we pushed the upper levels back. We peeled the fourth floor off of the corner to help that initial or original building stand forward more. We divided at the roof line with a green space around the perimeter, and we simplified materials considerably. We went to all metal panel on the new addition and set that in two colors, basically a darker gray and a light gray. And then we also carried, and you'll see in some further pictures, but the limestone base of the existing building around the addition to the south as you move forward. And we also went through the process, and I'll kind of bring just a series of snapshots as you come around the building, as you're a little closer to it. And then I'm going to go to the side, which is Washington Street, so you can see a little bit more how the base continues around. We picked up the window fenestration as well, so that the rhythm of windows both across the base reflect back to the original building. And then the upper windows actually align. You can see it better straight elevation, but the proportions of the windows match up with the proportions of the windows on the base, so that the skinny section in between the two larger actually is the same dimension of the solid pier between the windows. And then so we took that proportion and rhythm, and we took that around the building. The other item that you'll notice is where the building meets the ground behind the existing, we switched to a dark panel. And that section pushes back from even the upper addition and the addition to the south, and basically creates a divider, as well as, when you were looking at, I'll say, and maybe this one might give us a better image, but it also has that dark wing that's similar to the wing on the existing bank building that comes out towards Kirkwood. That wing terminates the building to the left. The darker wing in the back kind of terminates that building as you go down Washington Street. Let's see here. So I'm just going to scroll down the images here, and you'll see as you come down and you get to the south end of the building, this is all new addition at this point. And with that, we had a little fun at the corner, and this actually opens up towards the church. So when you're on the sidewalk, the church sits back a little bit.
The Methodist church?
The Methodist church. And so we made that corner, it's all glass. So again, it's unique. The element's a little different, but all of the vertical mullions and all that still harken back to the original building and the same rhythm. So we wanted something a little different as you came around the corner, but something that still doesn't, compete with the existing building. And let's see if I can keep going here. Let's see. Oops. I am maybe stuck on your computer here. Let's see, trying to.
Sorry about that.
I'm trying to scroll the slides on the side.
Yeah, your slides are.
Is that the last slide?
No, there's several in here. That's why I was.
Go more.
We should have the front of the building as well. So basically, you're just kind of seeing as you go down the alley, and then I'll skip back to the front, and
that's the last one.
And then the last. So on the front of the building, just as a final shot here, again, you can see the kind of the box set behind the box. So you have the existing up front, the new pushed behind. You also are seeing, there was a lot of discussion about even the two canopies. So one is the original that has the 200 on it, is the original canopy on the building, the bank building. The other is a balcony that holds the same proportions as the canopy, but is also the cover over the drive-through where you would, so there's always been a drive with the bank that was there. The bank windows are just about midway down the line. So you kind of have the vehicular exit or language there with the one balcony coverage, and then you have the pedestrian level or canopy that's lower, and the original itself. All of this, and we do pick up on just some of the spandrel as you go around the building in a few locations, but everything, as we were saying, color-wise is going to be more in those lighter grays. I did bring material samples, just so you can understand when I'm talking metal panel, it's actually a sandwich panel that's insulated. Yeah, I could set it here, I could pass it around either way. Some of the edges are a little sharp, so be careful if you grab it. But one thing that I've also talked with the subcommittee on is ultimately we're gonna clean up part of the limestone. It's been weathered quite a bit over time on the existing building, and then go out there with material samples, colors for the metal, and work with the committee to see what works best against that existing building, whether it's a warm tone or a cool tone in that gray palette. Just again, so that we're making sure we basically complement the building as best we can. Basically, in conclusion, I'd just like to say that it's been a positive journey. I've enjoyed working with the group. Again, like I said, when I started, I didn't know if I would or not, just to be honest. But it has been a good journey. It has pushed me to look at things differently as we went through the design, and the end outcome was something that, as I said, the owner is happy with. It's found the balance of a end product that hopefully you as the commission will be happy with, but has also allowed the owner to develop the site, add density, and basically do what he was hoping to do as well. So I appreciate all your time and look forward to your comments. Thank you.
I'm going to do something a little bit different. And Marlene, I was wondering if you wanted to comment any on the process.
Oh, well, it was fantastic. I really appreciate Tim's willingness to work with us, and I think the product is better for all of us talking together, as Tim noted. I think that as far as the collaboration goes, I think it was the sort of ideal of how historic preservation should work, and how how the community and the people and the commission work together. So thank you, Tim, and thank you, my fellow subcommittee members.
Thank you. And I'll just put in another little plug for this. I didn't know if I would enjoy this process either when we were going into it, but I really appreciated your willingness to negotiate. And at the end of it, even Duncan was happy. So Duncan said, yeah. No, I just want to put that out there. All right, go to questions. Chris, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
All right, Ernesto.
Yes, are we doing comments first or questions first?
We do questions and then we do comments. Isn't that what we usually do? Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, I'll start with the questions then. What kind of sustainability process have you guys done for the project? project. Can you talk in general terms, what kind of practices, green practices have you guys done for, not only for the existing building, but for the new building in terms of sustainable process, techniques, technology for both of the buildings?
So on each project, we are looking, from a sustainability standpoint, some of the I'll call it the low-hanging fruit of energy, making sure that our skin, the envelope is energy efficient, lighting, all LED lighting. The windows, we have a lot of glass on this building. So, having probably, both a solar tinted glazing, maybe again in a light gray, as part of that design, as well as on this, building in shades as well, probably more of a roller shade style, just again for helping with energy efficiency. The appliances all with Energy Star type appliances. We are also looking at from not just sustainability, but environmental, the use of solar panels on the roof. For part of this, looking to combine that with cool roof technology, as well as green roofs in strategic zones. And by strategic, I mean zones where you can actually see it and enjoy it. A lot of times we go the simple route and just throw it on the very top for all of it and say we've covered it, but then nobody looks out their window and enjoys it. Materials, again, sustainable materials, interior materials such as, carpeting and plank flooring that is higher content in recycling or recycled product. Same with ceiling tiles in certain areas. So basically, we are looking at a lot of these things. The interior, quite honestly, I've been focused heavily on the exterior, with the interior more blocked out for the scale or size of the studio units that will be in there. So haven't gone through and picked every material out yet, but that's our direction, and we will be just as so we're committed towards the environmental items. We are going after environmental incentives as part of this project with the city. So we will be committed to hitting those incentives or requirements, I should say, as part of the process.
In terms of just one more thing. In terms of what is now an existing bank, right? The use of the building.
Correct.
Is that going to be incorporated in the future use in some level, aesthetically, or any? I'm just thinking of reuse. For future.
Yeah. So the first floor is remaining all retail, and currently the owner is speaking with another bank to come in and basically take over that space from People's. If that doesn't work, it will still all be retail. Other options would be, more of a restaurant type use or, again, another business use.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Bernard, do you have questions?
No questions.
Elizabeth?
Yeah, I saw that you had like a green space on that top, one of the floors you had. Are you going to allow people to have like a little garden or something up there?
That zone is actually more of a divider, as you can see up there. So people will not have, other than maintenance, would not have access out to do any type of gardening on that edge. It would be more of sedum beds and more low-growing plants that are able to sustain better depending on weather. You know, they can go a long time if it's dry and then rain comes, it'll keep them going. But plants that are definitely set up for green roof type atmosphere, but not personal garden space.
Oh, okay, all right.
Do you have any more questions, Elizabeth?
No, that's it.
Matthew?
No questions.
Daniel?
Nope, no questions.
All right, does the public have any comment?
If anybody online has a comment, you can use the raise hand feature in Zoom.
I guess I could ask something next. This is the public chapter. I think they're going for a few different variances from the Unified Development Ordinance standards. And you haven't filed yet, right? Is that correct? Or you have filed?
We have filed
You have
for BZA and for Plan Commission,
Okay.
but we've continued those until we work through
Got it,
this process
got it, okay.
first.
So it would be information that might be helpful. It might be helpful to have the Historic Preservation Commission give its thoughts specifically on the drive-through. Now, as we said, that doesn't, for a previous one, that doesn't necessarily affect how the BZA will rule on it, but I'm just anticipating that the question's going to come up of, the petitioner would like there to be a drive-through. That seems, from materials, and that'll be clear in the petitional statements for the variances and so on. But I think the question will come up, how does the Historic Preservation Commission feel about the drive-through? So if the commission members would like to, I would think it would not be a bad thing to simply state an opinion of the commission feelings about the drive-through.
Is that the only variance being considered?
No, there are a few other ones. There are a few other ones, but they seem to be less directly related to the historic nature. You can probably go through them better than I can, but.
I'd be happy to with your.
Yeah.
If it is something that the HPC, you feel that the HPC should weigh in on?
It's not so much that the HPC needs to weigh in on, but it's just a question that people are going to ask. And if the HPC has an answer to that question,
they're going to ask.
That would be clear.
Okay.
If the HPC doesn't have an answer, or if some of you feel one way and others you feel a different way, and another group of you don't care, that's also okay. But
that's an answer.
I just wanted,
All right.
just wanted to.
So why don't you go through?
Yeah, if I may.
Please.
Thank you, Gabriel. So there's several variances to the UDO that we will be going after. The first one that Gabriel brought up was the drive-through that currently exists. Based on the new UDO, I have a 66-foot wide lot. You're not allowed to have a drive-through or drive exit. It's not about the drive-through, it's about the drive exit onto Kirkwood. You're not allowed to have a drive exit within 100 feet of the intersection. So I have a 66-foot lot. I can't be 100 feet away. All right. The city's position, planning's position early on has been not in favor of allowing that exit to exist moving forward for a new development. We look at it as it has been there since the bank was built. It is part of the historic site. The entire site, not the building, just the building was made or designated as historic.
That's actually not correct. The entire site is the district.
The site is the district.
Yes. So, but I see what you're saying.
So it's all part of it. It's not I guess I would say it's part of the original fabric of this site was a drive-through. And so we would like to maintain that. If we definitely get another bank back in there, or even if it became a restaurant, they would love to have a drive-through. So variance number one, the big one, is really about allowing that exit to occur out onto Kirkwood. And there's no way we can ever meet the 100-foot distance because our site's just not 100 feet wide.
May I be permitted to ask?
Can we go through
Oh,
the variances
yeah.
first? There's
Oh.
multiple variances.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
So the other variances really revolve around the building skin. Again, as part of the UDO, first floor retail, and I'm gonna speak more specific, well, both Kirkwood's facade of the existing building as well as the Washington Street facade of the existing building, and then the Washington Street facade of our new addition to the south, which picks up on the window pattern. The UDO requires that you have 60%, is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
60% of that facade be glass. All right, so it's looking at it as kind of a new retail space. It's all glass across the front. You can see the products that you're selling.
60% is correct.
So unless we tear apart the existing building, we're not ever going to be 60% glass on the first floor. We have intentionally made the new addition more respectful, sympathetic to the existing building as part of this process. So we are basically going against the UDO and looking for a variance on that issue. The next would be the UDO looks for undulation in the facade. So every 40 feet as a max, correct me if I say something wrong here. So a module of the building needs to be no more than 40 feet wide before something changes. So.
Pardon me, 50 feet. 50 feet.
50 feet, okay. So something is gonna push back, something's gonna change elevation, you're gonna have design elements occurring. There's a lot more in and out going on with the facades. We started that way with the very first design, and it was very busy compared to the historic building. So we simplified. We simplified it back to basically simple box form sitting behind the historic building, which is a simple box form. Because of that simplification, we are in, not meeting the UDO again. And so there's several items within that category that also deal with entrances. The existing historic entrance will not meet the new UDO. Do I change it or do I maintain it? So to maintain it, as part of this process, again, I'm against the UDO, which means I have to get a variance. So I've got a uphill battle with BZA next. So I would very much love your comments and support, or coming to the BZA hearings or Plan Commission hearing and speaking in terms of, we go through a process in order to respect the existing historic, which the new UDO doesn't account for, and as such, as opposed to being able to kind of skip the step of, hey, we've agreed on something here, now I've got to get the Board of Zoning Appeals to grant a stack of variances and then go to Plan Commission to get ultimate approval. So it's a journey.
Is it just 3 then?
Well, height, I'm sorry, height is the third one, or the fourth one. The height of the building, so the existing bank is 30 feet tall. That's a tall 2-story building. The floors are 15 foot floor to floor in there. The UDO allows me to have 3 stories for the building or 40 feet. Because we are trying to add on top of the building, we are going through the building with a new structure. So we're basically putting steel columns through the building to put a framework over the roof of the existing building in order to build the addition on top of. That eats up another 3 feet roughly of vertical height. On top of that, a standard floor to ceiling of 9 feet in the floor area, plus structure for the roof, puts you over that 40-foot mark. We are going a 4th story, which we're allowed if we use incentives through the UDO, and that would be the environmental incentives that we were talking about a little earlier with solar panels, the cool roof, different items, allows you to add 1 more story to the building. All in all, my building, because I'm starting with a tall 2-story building, my building is going to be 6 or 7 feet taller than what is allowed under the UDO's guidelines. The guidelines are set based off of, you know, a 3-story building at 40 feet, you can build all day long. You can have basically 12-foot floor to floors and go up with that and make it function and work. It makes perfect sense in a new building. When you're trying to build and match an existing building that has a tall floor to floor starting point, we are just automatically over the limits when we add that 3rd floor. So it can't be built without a variance to the height. Did I kind of catch them? So those are the big ones. There might be some little guys in there that we'll work through design-wise to, I think there was a comment about bike parking and some other items
the
that.
assumption is that you can find a place to put them somewhere.
Yeah, we just haven't gone to that next level to iron those out.
That is a problem. We're about to lose quorum here.
Okay.
Okay, so we should move.
So, yeah, please, yeah, go to.
I think we have a choice. We can either continue this or we can, if people want to hold their comments, we can.
I move to approve COA 2264.
I second.
With an enthusiastic support for all the variants.
All right, that sounds great. And I also put the caveat in there that the HPC will meet as the applicant noted on site for color material selection.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
And you had a second already?
Yes.
All right. Do you call the roll, please?
Arlene Newman,
Yes.
Daniel Schlegel,
Yes.
Sam DeSaller,
Yes.
Matthew Seddon,
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell,
Yes.
Bernard Cross.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I think you got it.
You can put it on the
Thank
Thank
you
you all
for
very much.
staying, and thank you all for your patience
That is
this
a
evening.
demolition delay. There's 90 days, we can see it.
Oh, some other time.
Yes, some other time. You won't see it,
Thank you.
so.
All right, I think that wraps it up.
Yes.
And we will adjourn this meeting.